Thank you so much, guys. It's really a pleasure to be here. And congratulations on graduating in a couple weeks here. That's a big accomplishment. So today, I want to ask you guys a question. And it's a pretty simple question, but I think it's one that we all need to think about pretty hard while we're here. And that is, what is the true value of college? It's kind of a given for most of us that we've been going to college our whole lives, that's just the next step after high school. And sure, college is there to help you get a job and, get a house, start a life of your own, and get outside of your parents' house. But I want to say that college has a deeper value, and that's one that can help you guys understand what your purpose is in the world. College is what you make of it. And really, the opportunities that are available for all of you guys starting next year are tremendous. And I want to help you guys kind of start to get a glimpse of what those possibilities might be and help prepare you for that and to go moving into the future. So today I want to share a little bit of my personal story. As Peter said, I'm a sophomore at Gonzaga University, just finished up my second year. And I'm going to be sharing some of the deeper value that I've experienced coming out of Jesuit, and hopefully it'll be relevant to you guys. So 2 years ago, I was just like you. I got mountains of college mail. I committed to Gonzaga University in April of 2013. And it was me and my best friend Jonathan at graduation over here in Hayes Plaza. It was an exciting time. I was ready to move on to the next step and get an opportunity to really change the world, to go out and learn more about who I was. Yeah, it's a lot of mail. You guys do that? Get an opportunity to learn about who I was and how I can make a difference. My whole life, I thought I wanted to be an engineer. And you'll notice the business card up there does not say engineering. There's a story behind that. So I grew up in a family of engineers. I told the juniors this morning, my parents would literally go on dates when they worked at Intel, where they would take apart computer boards with a blowtorch and tweezers. And I wish I were making that up, but it's true. My dad would come home oftentimes with fax machines and broken computers and telephones and have us take them apart in our basement. That was the life I knew going into college. And when I was here at Jesuit, I thought for sure that I wanted to be an engineer. That all changed senior year when I took comp sci, AP Physics, and AP Calculus. I realized that maybe this wasn't what my calling was. I took those classes to try and prepare me for college and help me to understand what I was getting into. And I quickly realized that rather than kind of awakening a passion for engineering, it was a drag. It was really difficult for me. And I tried to figure out what was going on. All of my friends loved the classes that they were in, and they're successful computer scientists and engineers at the moment. But for me, it was different. I didn't feel passionate about those classes, and going into college, even though I had done the entire college application process as a prospective engineer, I decided to switch to business. And that was really scary for me, because I had no idea what business was, I had no idea what I wanted to do with it, but I knew that it would give me an opportunity to learn more about myself and to explore the impact that I could have. During this time, the first semester at college and over the summer, I did a self-inventory to try and understand more about who I was and what I wanted out of a career, what I was trying to get out of college. And I realized three things. Number one, I was a problem solver. I loved taking in new situations and developing solutions to the problems that I saw. That was huge for me. Number two, I loved helping people. Being here at Jesuit taught me about the marginalized populations that are in our midst and around the world. And I really felt passionate about making a difference in other people's lives through the privileges that I've had. And number three, I love learning about new cultures. I went to the French immersion school for 9 years of my life, and so I could speak French and Spanish before I came here, and I'd also completed several immersion trips. And so that was a big part of who I was. And I wanted to really stay true to those three things. I found it difficult to kind of meet those expectations in engineering, and I realized, you know what, business is going to give me an opportunity to kind of get a foundation and to move forward and try and understand what I really want to do with my life. And that's the first key that I want to share with you guys. I have 5 key lessons that come from my experience that I think can really help you to make the most of college. Seize the value that's available. The first key is seek to understand yourself. Write down what you know. What are your goals? What do you value? And what do you want for your life? We're kind of sold this vision of what the life that we want is by society, and I really encourage you to think critically about what it is you really want to accomplish. For some people, it may be being an athlete. For some people, it may be being a professional businessman. Other people, it's just to be a great parent. Those are all really important things to recognize going into college, and that while you're in college, to learn about what those things are. I encourage you to write them down and to start to understand more of your motivations. The second key is the typical one. It's the difficult one. Once you understand yourself, you need to take a leap of faith. You need to commit to act on that self-reflection and trust your ability to find something that fits what you're looking for. For me, that meant jumping from the security that I knew my whole life growing up as an engineer, prospective engineer, and switching to a business, something that I knew nothing about, but I knew would give me an opportunity to grow and to seize the three things that I knew about myself. So, 2 weeks into school, knowing these things about myself and kind of opening myself up to new opportunities, I scheduled a meeting with the Dean of Admissions, who had gotten to know through the college process. And I asked her, gosh, Julie, is there anything on campus that you know of that I should really get involved with? And she said, well, actually, there's this thing called the Opus Prize. And the Opus Prize is a $1.2 million humanitarian award that Gonzaga has been selected to host next year. We're looking for some students who can go and visit the finalists for this prize and, hey, I think you'd be a good candidate. You should think about applying. So I did. What I didn't realize was that I was the only freshman out of 70 applicants for those positions. I was competing against sophomores and juniors with years more experience than me, who had, deep-seated passions and belief that this was the thing that was going to help them, make their college career. So what did I do to try and, give myself a leg up? Not only did I pursue this, but I also went out of my way to learn more about what this was. In this period, I really wanted to just learn, what does the Opus Prize give to me, and is it something that I really want to invest time in? Over winter break, in the midst of a 5-tiered process to become one of the students to go on these trips, or 5 series of interviews. The second one was giving a speech, an impromptu speech, in front of the steering committee about why you were the best applicant for this job. And over winter break, I decided, I'm going to learn more about this prize. I'm going to learn more about the people that they recognize, and they're called social entrepreneurs. I looked online and I found some books, and I ran 4 miles to the bookstore, because my parents had the cars that day. Got the books that afternoon, and came 4 miles back home. And I loved it. It was the most exciting afternoon that I can remember in a long time. And it may sound strange, but trust me, it was like I was opening my eyes to a whole new world. Because these people, these social entrepreneurs, were doing exactly what I had wanted to do my whole life. I just hadn't known it. They were solving major problems. They were helping people in their communities, and they were bridging cultural gaps that existed that they felt really strongly qualified to address. Social entrepreneurs are people like Muhammad Yunus, an individual who invented the field of microfinance. He's originally from Bangladesh, and he realized that when he went into the slums of his home city, there were people there who were being preyed on by loan sharks. So what would happen is they would need a loan of $2 or $3 just to buy the materials that they would need to run their sewing machines and make a living. But the loan sharks would give them the money and say, okay, well, you owe me 700% interest over the course of the next year. And good luck trying to pay that off. And literally these people would become slaves because they had debt. He realized that with $27, he could unlock the potential of more than 20 individuals in that community and help them escape the cycle of poverty. He invented the field of microfinance. Another example of a social entrepreneur is someone named Julie Colombino in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. She went down as an aid worker after the 2010 Haiti earthquake and realized that the biggest thing that the Haitians were missing wasn't international aid, wasn't the tremendous outflow of help from other people in different countries. It was lack of sustainable infrastructure in the country to help individuals to have a job that could help them to support themselves. She also realized while she was there that there were thousands and thousands of tires, abandoned tires around the city that would contribute to flash flooding when the monsoons came. So she came up with an idea. What if, she said, we hired people to collect the tires, press out the walls, and make soles of sandals, getting local leather, and then combining it with these tires that we can sell in Haiti and the US, giving people these great opportunities for employment. 4 years on, they've hired 21 local Haitians. They've helped over 100 local at-risk youth through an apprenticeship program that they run, and they're building sustainable communities. These were the kinds of people that I wanted to be without even knowing it. And that was really what college helped to give me, was an understanding of what my passion was, what my purpose was. And the key that I want you guys to take away from this is hearkening back to the beginning. How did this all start? I talked to the director of admissions, talked to university employees, and network with the communities that exist on your campuses. Wherever you may go, those are incredibly rich environments where you can learn, grow, and have access to opportunities that you don't even know exist yet. But I can guarantee that if you go out and pursue those opportunities, they will help shape you into the person that you're going to be in the next 4 years. It sets you apart, and you never know where it might be. So, after learning about social entrepreneurship and getting super pumped up on that afternoon, turns out I actually was selected to be one of the finalists to go and visit these social entrepreneurs. Thank you. But to me, I had already won. It was before I'd gotten this position that I realized that social entrepreneurship was something for me. And that was the inherent value in the process. Getting to go to India, to Chennai, India, to visit this man, Mr. Golapalli Israel, was the icing on the cake. Was getting an opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, to see a social entrepreneur in action and contribute either $100,000 or $1 million to their cause. Mr. Israel works in the slums of Chennai, a city of roughly 9 million people on the southeast coast of India. And this was the view from our hotel room when we were there. It was something that I'd never seen before, and that was crippling systemic poverty. This is a bridge where you see kind of the blue wall. So at the car level, you can only see the mosaic. You can't see what lies on the riverbank. And oftentimes, these kind of shanty towns and slums emerge on the riverbanks because that's the only place that they can go. By the way, that's also the place where it's the garbage dump. And there's no running water, there's no sewage. It's survival. We visited several slums while we were in Chennai, and we got to meet these people who had tremendous joy and were excited about the opportunities that Mr. Israel was bringing them. They're from a community of Dalits, which means untouchables, in the Indian caste system. There are 5 castes in India, and the Dalits are the ones excluded. They're the ones who do the impure work. So historically, these individuals have been tasked with doing something called manual scavenging, which means literally cleaning up after the waste of society. They'll clean human waste from the streets, they'll clean dry latrines, and they'll dive into sewers to clear blockages with their bare hands. Incredibly demeaning work, and a problem that Mr. Israel has been trying to solve for the past 30 years. He works through 3 steps. Number 1, he empowers women in the community through an entrepreneurship program that gives them access to the microfinance loans that Muhammad Yunus pioneered over a decade ago. And this is an example of one woman with the flowers that she makes at home. Number 2, they work with youth in the community to help them to get a leg up in the education system. Oftentimes, individuals are only allowed to go to public schools. That's the only thing they can afford. And the private schools are the ones that really set people up for success, and the higher castes are the ones who can afford that. So they run these night schools in over 40 different cities, or 40 different slums in the area, in order to help support the future of these untouchables. And the third thing they do is they work through political advocacy. They've organized 125 different slums and their leadership to advocate for their people on a massive scale and keep the government accountable. This was my passion. Seeing this work in action awakened me to the possibility of making a difference in the world every day with my work. And this was only possible because of the opportunities that I had at Gonzaga. Only possible because I reached out and started asking questions, because I was proactive, because I knew what I wanted. I knew that I wanted something to make a difference and change the world. This fall, Mr. Israel was in Spokane, along with the other two Opus finalists, and I got to introduce him in front of 1,500 people and tell his story and say the incredible work that this man has done with his life. I feel honored to call him a friend, and I love that photo. What does this all mean? I argue that actively pursuing your passion, your purpose, will lead you to a vocation. And I encourage all of you to look at college not as an opportunity to just get a job, but as an opportunity to find a calling, something that deeply speaks to you. Frederick Buechner, a theologian, says that vocation is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. Where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. Where is that place? What do you love to do? What are you good at? And what does the world need most? I would argue that that is what Jesuit High School sets us up to do. It awakens us to the possibility of making the world a better place through our efforts, through our daily actions, through our careers, not just on the side. And whether that means being an engineer at a tech company and helping to expand the access to education and technology that can really transform people's lives, or whether that means working for a nonprofit, it all means the same thing. It's important to understand what your difference can be. Everybody's difference is unique. But find that. Use college to find that. There are 5 places in the world that I've identified that are the world's deep hunger, and I hope you guys can read these. Number 1 is in public health. So maybe you want to be a doctor, or a nurse, or even just a hospital assistant. Incredibly valuable opportunities to help your community, whether that's here in Oregon, or down in Latin America, or across an ocean. Incredibly valuable opportunities to help people live their potential. Education. I'm sure we'll have a few teachers in this room. I'm sure we'll have school administrators, future principals, future directors of the next generation. Incredible opportunities to make a difference in the lives of youth. Sustainability, and not just environmental sustainability, but the sustainability of the structures in society. So, business. How do we make business effective so that it's not extractive and unsustainable? How do we make sure that the businesses that we work for empower everybody in the supply chain, from the coffee growers in Latin America to the consumers at the end of the road? Sustainability. Human rights. Maybe this means working at the political level and helping to advocate for the rights of the marginalized. How can you make a difference in that way? Finally, poverty alleviation. Whether that means working with the local homeless population or going abroad like I did and finding a need in a foreign country. There are all these opportunities to meet the world's deep hunger if you commit to exploration. My journey is taking me across these again. So this summer, I'm actually interning with a social enterprise in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, the one called Rebuild Globally that I talked to you guys about earlier, the tire collectors who make the sandals. I'm really excited to be working there this summer. In the fall, I'm also traveling to Cameroon as part of the study abroad program that my school runs. These are the opportunities that unlock the value of college. It's not just the things you learn in the classroom, it's what you do with it. What are you going to do to make the world a better place? And how are you going to be able to make a difference? So, as I've been saying, the 4th key is to use college as an opportunity to find your vocation, not just a job. Vocation is a calling on your life. It means that your work is unified with your values and your beliefs. And that doesn't mean that you work 80 hours a week. You can still have a really balanced life, but you need to make sure that the values that you hold in your personal life fit with your life in the career arena. And college can help you do that. Don't see work as just a 40-hour work week and a paycheck. See it as an opportunity. The last thing I want to talk to you guys about is a little bit of perspective. If the world were 100 people, only 7 of them would have a college education. 7. We have over 300 people in this room. case, only 21 of you would be going to college. You look around the room and you think, that is crazy. How are we going to change this? Even just in our backyard in Oregon, about 40% of working age adults have the equivalent of a college education, and 10% of those are associate degrees, so 2-year programs. You'll also notice that 25% of individuals have some college but don't graduate. The thing that I want you guys to understand is that college is a privilege. College is not a right or an entitlement. We don't necessarily deserve to have this next step. And that changes the way that we approach it. Because if we see it as a gift, if we see it as an opportunity, then it becomes more than just going to class and doing the minimum that we can do to make a difference. No, it becomes, we have a moral obligation to use what we've been given and make the world a better place as a result. So I encourage you guys to think about that. So to recap, the 5 keys to make the most of college. Number 1, seek to understand yourself. Write down your values and beliefs and what you know. Number 2, take the leap of faith. Commit to finding your passion, finding your purpose. And number 3, talk to university employees and network with the community. They're there to help you, and they can really open up opportunities and doors that otherwise you would not have. Number 4, use college as an opportunity to find your vocation, not just your job. What are you called to do? What's the deep hunger in the world that you're called to meet? Number 5, recognize that college is a privilege, not a right or an entitlement. And a bonus tip that covers all the other 5 is stay curious. There's always more to learn. And the real learning happens outside the classroom. Just like that day when I ran 4 miles to the bookstore. I didn't need to do that, but that was where the real learning happened. So I'll ask you guys again, what's the true value of college? Well, it's a tough question. But I would argue that college is what you make of it. So you make it invaluable. Thank you so much. One of you would be going to college. You look around the room and you think, that is crazy. How are we going to change this? Even just in our backyard in Oregon, about 40% of working age adults have the equivalent of a college education, and 10% of those are associate degrees, so 2-year programs. You'll also notice that 25% of individuals have some college but don't graduate. The thing that I want you guys to understand is that college is a privilege. College is not a right or an entitlement. We don't necessarily deserve to have this next step. And that changes the way that we approach it. Because if we see it as a gift, if we see it as an opportunity, then it becomes more than just going to class and doing the minimum that we can do to make a difference. No, it becomes, we have a moral obligation to use what we've been given and make the world a better place as a result. So I encourage you guys to think about that. So to recap, the 5 keys to make the most of college. Number 1, seek to understand yourself. Write down your values and beliefs and what you know. Number 2, take the leap of faith. Commit to finding your passion, finding your purpose. And number 3, talk to university employees and network with the community. They're there to help you, and they can really open up opportunities and doors that otherwise you would not have. Number 4, use college as an opportunity to find your vocation, not just your job. What are you called to do? What's the deep hunger in the world that you're called to meet? Number 5, recognize that college is a privilege, not a right or an entitlement. And a bonus tip that covers all the other 5 is stay curious. There's always more to learn. And the real learning happens outside the classroom. Just like that day when I ran 4 miles to the bookstore. I didn't need to do that, but that was where the real learning happened. So I'll ask you guys again, what's the true value of college? Well, it's a tough question. But I would argue that college is what you make of it. So you make it invaluable.